Why is CBS taking clips from an Italian hospital room and trying to pretend like it's New York City?
To the coronavirus is overwhelming every hospital in northern Italy. The staff are working flat out trying to keep these people from deteriorating further.
New York's governor says FEMA gave the state 400 ventilators. To that, he said this.
What am I going to do with 400 ventilators when I need 30,000? You pick the 26,000 people who are going to die because you only sent 400 ventilators.
You can see that part right there is actually from Sky News, from inside an Italian hospital from Sunday, March 22nd. But this is what the mainstream media does. They're not honest, they're not accurate, and they constantly just lie, spread fear, and divide. Also, you could hear Governor Cuomo complaining about ventilators, and much of the mainstream media made it seem like they didn't have enough ventilators currently, and people were just dying from not having access to them. Now let's get closer to the truth. So there were ventilators sitting in a warehouse, but he's complaining because he thinks they're not going to have enough in a month, even though they continuously funnel more resources, medical staff. These people just won't stop.
Were there ventilators found in a storage facility or something that the president is claiming that there were ventilators found that they need to be distributed? Is there any truth to that?
That is incorrect and grossly uninformed. The point is, we have ventilators in a stockpile and we didn't send them to the hospitals yet. Of course we didn't. That's the whole point. The hospitals don't need them yet. The hospitals aren't at their apex. The hospitals have enough ventilators today, but the numbers are going up. We're planning for an apex, a high point in about 21 days. That's when we need the 30,000 ventilators, not today. Right now, we're putting them in a stockpile. So the point is, well, they're in a stockpile, you must not need them. It's just ignorant. Of course you don't need them today. You need them when you hit the apex, which is 30,000. We're not there yet.
And here's the thing, I don't want to downplay the virus, but I also don't want to downplay the massive economic toll it's taking on a lot of people, and a physical toll, and a literal toll, which they don't want to talk about very much. I don't want to downplay it. That's why we need CBS, Governor Cuomo, and others to stop purposely or by mistake misleading people, using fake footage, stirring everyone in circles so no one knows what's going on. Speaking of another fake media smear, the Daily Mail decided to falsely smear me, so I'm going to respond with truth. Here it is. Coronavirus deniers are using social media to spread misinformation. So I had to take a look at who this thrilling author was, and of course he looks like this. Of course he does. Let's look at the article. Coronavirus deniers are using Facebook, WhatsApp, and YouTube to spread conspiracy theories and misinformation about the deadly disease. He writes, the UK-based charity, the Centre for Countering Digital Hate, has been tracking 50 social media accounts that are peddling health-related misinformation. So I did about a 2-minute dive on the Centre for Countering Digital Hate, and I found their CEO retweeting stuff about the World Health Organization. Maybe this writer and maybe their Center for Digital Hate should be a little bit concerned that the World Health Organization in January was telling people that the coronavirus could not be transmitted between humans. That, of course, is misinformation that they were peddling because they believe the Chinese government much more than a lot of us do. Even in February, when Trump was pushing the China travel ban, they decided to say, oh my goodness, it's hateful and fearful. Do not give in to this. That's what the World Health Organization was doing, so maybe you should cover that. Instead of retweeting as if they are the godly, 100% scientific, accurate source, and if you disagree with them, you're somehow a conspiracy theorist peddling lies, while you're peddling known liars who were incorrect a month ago, 2 months ago, and probably will be incorrect in March, April, May, June, July, and August, because the science isn't settled around it. They admit that publicly, but a lot of these dishonest little snakes just listen to the authorities and believe everything that they hear, even when they publicly admit that it's not right, which I'll get into later. So what did they say about me? Well, they included this post of mine that's going viral on Facebook, Can Viruses Be Man-Made? Which they can, and I can prove that factually with articles and with top scientists and such, but they included my post that someone else said something on top of it, so now I'm responsible for what everybody who shared my video said. Hundreds of thousands of people shared my video, and I'm somehow the face and the poster boy for what one person says in one group. And it says, messages range from those suggesting that the risk of coronavirus has been exaggerated to the idea that the virus was man-made, either as a weapon or to sell more vaccines as a smokescreen to hide the actions of a cabal of CEOs. So first of all, in that actual video, I did not suggest that they're hiding the action of a cabal of CEOs. I actually did the exact opposite. I talked about how thousands of CEOs stepped down last year, and I speculated and asked questions on the fact, did they have some sort of intel that something was going to happen, because usually CEOs leave during a recession, not when the economy's booming, and they got out of the way right before it dropped. They also try to tie me into some sort of anti-vaccine group, which I have nothing to do with because I made a video that hundreds of thousands of people shared all over the place. And he's lying about what my video even says. So I'm about to school this guy who's dishonest, disingenuous, and falsely smearing me. First, here's your idol Bill Gates admitting that viruses can be actually man-made, which is what I was talking about.
We also face a new threat that the next epidemic has a good chance of originating on a computer screen of a terrorist intent on using genetic engineering to create a synthetic version of the smallpox virus or a contagious and highly deadly strain of flu.
Also, let's go back to this old CBC article where they're admitting that there is man-made coronavirus strains that have killed people that Dutch groups had a patent on. So it's not a conspiracy theory, it's not misinformation, it's a fact that viruses can be man-made, they have been man-made, including coronaviruses. You can write what you want and act like you're some sort of authoritative source like The Who, but a lot of your predictions and speculations and statements like theirs from January and February are going to age improperly. And I'm allowed to speculate on it and point out real facts and real articles, unlike your phony, goofy misinformation smears trying to smear anybody asking questions as a theorist when you're working with a digital hate organization that basically just tries to get people censored off the internet as they themselves and their employees push organizations that have routinely been completely incorrect about this coronavirus. And if you want to know about medical malpractice, since you're smearing all these groups as well, let's look at the facts and let's look at articles. This is from The Guardian. Bayer division knowingly sold HIV-infected protein. A division of the German pharmaceutical company Bayer knowingly sold blood-clotting agents infected with HIV to Asia and Latin America months after withdrawing them from Europe and the US, an American newspaper claimed yesterday. This article is also in CBS. Bayer sold HIV risky meds. And since this guy works for Daily Mail, let's give him another taste of his own medicine, which is the Daily Mail, talking about something that happened in the UK. The biggest disaster in the NHS's history. 2,000 died after 3,400 were given HIV or hepatitis C through infected blood, but it took 30 years for an apology. 7,500 people, many hemophiliacs, given contaminated blood. So instead of falsely smearing me and using my picture in a disingenuous light when you could watch that video that I posted, it's completely factual. I have evidence, I have video and article evidence, and it's a known fact that pharmaceutical companies, governments, and organizations have knowingly lied, knowingly infected people, and this is not out of the equation. It's not a 0% chance that it's happening, so with the freedom of speech, we're allowed to speculate. And since you want to smear all these other groups that I'm not a part of, here's Dr. Fauci explaining the exact same thing that a lot of these people want to explain.
Now, the issue of safety, something that I want to make sure the American public understand. It's not only safety when you inject somebody and they get maybe an idiosyncratic reaction, they get a little allergic reaction, they get pain. There's safety associated. Does the vaccine make you worse? And there are diseases in which you vaccinate someone, they get infected with what you're trying to protect them with, and you actually enhance the infection. You can get a good feel for that in animal models. So that's going to be interspersed at the same time that we're testing. We're going to try and make sure we don't have enhancement. So the worst possible thing you could do is vaccinate somebody to prevent infection and actually make them worse.
So they need to extensively test these medicines because if they mess up, people can actually get infected with the disease. And it has happened in the past, that's a fact. It has happened by a mistake in the past, that's a fact. It's happened in multiple medicines and multiple industries, and multiple companies have made these mistakes, that's a fact. It's happened not only by a mistake, that's a fact. It's happened purposely when they knew it, like I just showed you in the articles. That's a fact. So before you sneaky little disingenuous snakes try to paint me as a misinformation peddler to try to get me penalized on social media when I'm indeed more factual and more helpful and more honest than you could ever be in your life, maybe you should do an article about CBS putting an Italian hospital, playing it off like it was the United States. Maybe you should ask questions and, I don't know, do your actual job instead of being a little lapdog of the government and the medicine industries. Maybe you should use real facts and real evidence instead of being a brainwashed zombie living in a world where you only believe what 2 or 3 or 4 corporations tell you to believe, where the government tells you is acceptable to believe, ignoring all logic, all critical thinking, all past, all present, because there's nothing virtuous or helpful about that. And don't use my video without playing my video, because if you watched it, every single thing that I said was backed up by facts, data, video interviews, articles, and then the parts that weren't were speculation, which is obviously okay. And if you're not sketched out by this virus that completely just shut down industries all over the world, when you know, like I said, that there have been coronaviruses that are digitally altered, Bill Gates says that that can happen. Everybody with half a brain knows that that could happen. It's really not that crazy to speculate into it, especially when you use articles including your own news publication. So leave me alone, Buster. Thank you guys. God bless you. God bless your family. Hope you enjoyed this video. Have a good day. And share this video before sneaky, disingenuous groups and journalists try to penalize me for being everything that they could never be. Independently successful with no corporation or business. Not an anti-First Amendment censor trying to destroy people that disagree with me, and a beacon of critical thinking in the age of media brainwashing. Have a good one, guys. I'll be back.